welcome back. Before we get started on this next project, I'll cover a couple of things. I'd like to welcome all my new subscribers, and I hope you enjoy the content of my channel. And to those who watched the last video, I'd like to sincerely apologise for the way I ended it. I'm still not 100%, and what's knocking me around back then is still knocking me around a little. But I was feeling pretty horrible, and death warmed up. And those two taps arriving wrong after waiting such a long time for them was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And I'm really sorry about the way I ended that, but I just wanted to finish it off. You'll see that that milling attachment in upcoming videos. I'll use it for different things. But right now, let's get on with this current project, and so follow me over there. You may have noticed this thing in my workshop additions and renovations video sitting on the floor under the bench. I said keep an eye out for it. A mate of mine gave me this. Works for a big engineering company here, and quite simply this thing's worn out. This is clamped in the jaws. I hit it with a bit of WD-40 this morning, tapped it around a bit and got this jaw moving, so that's off. And this being aluminium will find itself being melted down to make other things. I intend to try my hand at casting aluminium somewhere down the track, not too far away. So anyway, the whole thing is basically just worn out. But I had intended to try and make myself a milling vise, and I'm thinking I'm going to knock that vise off the top of this and see if I can't resurrect that and make it better and use it as a basis for a milling vise. And once I get that off there, I'll look at restoring all the ways in this, the rest of it, and making up my own XY table and put it on the top. So I'll pull this thing apart and we'll see what it looks like. Well, despite how rusty and seized up this all looked, I was a little surprised just how easily it came apart. It's very dirty. It's never had any maintenance. This was the gib for one of these. This one, I think, can't remember, was that way or that way. That way, I think. Just a piece of rubbish that was in there. A lot of build up on it. You can see a lot of wear and everything. I've got this lead screw I bought quite a long time ago, and a few of these nuts that go with it. So things like this that are just worn out, probably cut them off, make up a flange that bolts in here to take one of those nuts, and maybe use these bigger lead screws. I think that might be, if I measured it, be 5/8, this is 3/4 I think, or 16mm and 19mm, or 20 it might even be. This thing, it's a bit worn out in here, but I think maybe if I can get this into the lathe, square it all up, maybe I can bore that out, put a bush in there and a new pin in here, and that would probably make that reasonable. And I get some flat, fix it into here either side, so it can be bolted to a table. And it might make a half decent vise with a new screw in it, new lead screw, because that one's buggered. So next step will be clean it all up, maybe give a light sand to some of these surfaces to see what they look like, and then maybe put a little bit of blue on it and run it on there and just see how they come up. We'll go from there. Alrighty, so after cleaning this thing up, give them a quick hit with one of these pads to get all the gunk off. It doesn't look all that bad, to be honest with you, but it has an issue. I'll pull it up in there. It shouldn't rock like this. That's a wee bit of a problem. And having a look at the straight edge, this all looks pretty good, this one, so it's not that surface. It appears to be this one. Got a bit of a rock in it. It's not the flattest thing. So I've ordered a 60-degree dovetail cutter. That'll take a little while to get here, and when it arrives I'll try and recut that, maybe even this one as well, and see if we can't true it up a bit. And in the meantime I'll order a new piece of brass to make a new gib out of, and see how we go. I think this this thing actually might be rescuable. I'm basically an impatient bastard, and I don't know if I want to wait 2 or 3 weeks for these cutters to show up. So I'm going to try doing this. This is how pretty much how I got all the rails done for my cross slides on the lathe. So I'm going to give this a go, see how it comes up. Just got a piece of sandpaper in here, and I'm just going to keep working at it and see what it looks like. It's actually got hardly any rock in it with that bit of sandpaper in there. And mind you, I've been doing this for about 10 or 15 minutes already. To be honest with you, the centre here looks really good. It's a bit crappy on the end, both ends a little bit crappy, but the centre looks pretty good. When I'm finished doing this edge, I'll turn the paper around the other way and do this edge. This is a bit of 80 grit. Well, you can't see it on there, but it's 80 grit aluminium oxide cloth back tape. It is stinking hot here today, even though it's only springtime. March is the hottest month of the year, I believe, and it is stinking hot. And I'd love to turn the fan on, but it makes too much noise in the camera. There's it straight above us on the wall here. Right, now, need another bend in there. Pretty stiff, this stuff, not all that easy to bend. And luckily, it's not really sharp corners in there, so. Have a quick look, see what's shining and what's not there now. As you might not be able to see that, but as I found with the straight edge, that's making contact pretty much all the way along there. So this is definitely the culprit, this one. This will take hours, so I think I'll bring you back later. Well, I'm at the stage where I'd like to see how this runs with the new gib in it, but it's not here yet. According to the tracking, it's here in town. It has been for 2 days, and I got a shitty message yesterday saying that they'd had a failed delivery, but the pricks hadn't been here at all. So. Hopefully it'll show up today. So in the meantime, I'm going to get on and make up a new lead screw for this. Beautiful. Handle like I bought one. Alright, so we've got room for 2 pairs of thrust washers on there. Set room for 2 of them. A little bit of space between them.
and handle. But I think I might have stuffed up because I haven't left anywhere to put a micrometer dial on there. So, and I haven't got enough length either, so I'll work something out. Alrighty, what I didn't record was making that a bush for that end of it to fit up in there. And if you're wondering why I turned this down like that, it was so I could get it in here like this and then poke it in there like that. Well, what do you know? It appears that sometimes you get lucky. When I stuck that in there for the first time, I noticed I hadn't machined it back far enough. I'd only machined it back to about there. So that means that I do have enough room to make up a dial in here for in here. So I'll make a new housing in here for the two bearings, and then there's enough room in here for a dial. Beautiful. I'm going to use my my new milling attachment for the lathe to cut a keyway in here for this. If I can find a key for it. I've had trouble buying keys here, so we'll see how we go. Might have to make a key. Alrighty, still waiting for that bit of brass to get here. They claim it's going to be out for delivery today, so we'll just keep going with this until it gets here. I've done the other side. I've machined a pocket for one of these, and something else I forgot was I need a bearing for the shaft to run on, as well as the thrust bearings. But I've got enough room in there for all of it all, so I'm going to machine a pocket, much deeper pocket this side to fit this into like that. So we'll get started on this. There's a big storm rolling here at the moment, so hopefully I can get this done before it gets. Just about there. I'll take a light skim off that and then trim that back up. My bit of brass just showed up about 5 minutes ago. We got here. The shadows unread. Only about 18mm. And we need 16-17, but I wanted a little deeper than that, so. Face this off in the back a little bit more. It's a bit crappy anyway. Bloody hard to see. Alright, so that's the right size for thrust bearing, but the ball bearing is just a little bigger than that. So I'll put this in there. Stay. And I'll mark that. We're at 26.5, and we've got to go out to just a piece stick under 28. Seven and a half. One end up oversized, so we'll best check it. Oh, that's pretty. pretty much it. Beautiful, look at that. Like a bloody bought one. I had something else show up today too in record time, at least I think that's what it is. That dovetail cutter has showed up, and sadly I don't think I'll be able to use it because I don't think I've got enough travel to be able to cut dovetail 300mm long, and there it is. Hey, if I'd have been really hanging out for it, it'd be still weeks away. You just never know in this place. Far out and unreal banana peel. Have a look at this. That obviously looks like a machine surface, doesn't it? But I was looking at this yesterday afternoon to mark out some holes, and I did mark them out on this side once and then realised it was the wrong damn side. But have a look at this. Look at the gap up here. Look at that. Unbelievable. And just to top it off, it actually slopes like this. So I'm going to have to try and mill that off. I've got an idea about how I can do it in a lathe, but I'm going to have to pull the tailstock off and everything, make some room. So I'll have a go at that. Alrighty, there's been a fair bit of stuffing around. This is the lump of aluminium that the tool hole is mounted on there at one stage. And I've used that, and I've had to put a couple more bits of packing in to get it up to the right height. Taken the tailstock off, ginned around, got it to where I think it's pretty much right. I've taken one light pass across here just to see how it goes. You can see it didn't take much of it, just crossed about here and stopped. So I'll get into it and just take some really light passes. It's only clamped down with this one bolt on the top, so we'll see how we go. Catch some of that shit. I don't know whether you noticed, I can't get all the way across with it, but that doesn't matter because it will machine up the part that I need machined up. Oh, it's not all that rigid. That's that jumping around before. Well, we're getting there. We'll see how it goes. If it takes too long, I'll bring you back later. Oh, the battery's about to go flat too, so I better change that battery. Alrighty, I've made quite a few passes since I turned the camera off to change the battery. You can see we're nearly there. There's not much left just there now. In fact, I could probably call it quits at that, but I'll give it another pass or two, and then I've got an idea. I'm going to try something which might blow your minds. I've been power feeding this too. Alrighty, there's only a tiny little bit left there now, and what I want to try next might finish that off nicely. There's quite a step here where it wasn't coming over, so I've taken quite a bit off. It looks to be a good millimetre or so. This is a diamond disc, and I'm going to put that in the chuck and try grinding it and see how we go. Alrighty, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Improvised surface grinder. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Oh geez, that's actually there's a few pits and things in there, but other than that, it feels pretty flat. So I'm going to call that a win. Well, a few chunks missing out of there where that cutter was biting in, but it's basically flat except for this little bit up here, but I don't really care because now that sits on there nice and flat. I've checked it, it's square to the back, pretty much square to the front because that's an unmachined surface. It's kind of lucky because that's the surface I clamped on. But yeah, it fits in there good now, so I'll work out where those holes go and drill them. I'm not quite finished with this either. Once I've got the holes figured out, because I wanted it square to make it easier to mark, I'll put it back in the forejaw and I'll turn all this section off here and just leave a narrow part to bolt it on with, so it's not a big bulky ugly looking thing. So there we go. Beautiful. Alrighty, as I mentioned yesterday afternoon, my bit of brass arrived for the gib. Would have liked something a little wider, but I needed some 1/8 because I didn't want to have to machine it down to the right thickness, and that was the only width they had in 1/8, 3mm. So 1/8 by 3/8. But anyway, remember we had a high spot here. The gib actually goes on the other side. But I just want to see if I've gotten rid of this high spot in here. So as you can see, it moves there, but then it gets a bit tight. It gets a lot tight. So I obviously haven't got that little hump out of the middle there yet. So I've got an idea on how I can mill this, and like I said, it's 300 odd mil long. It's well, it's actually about 265, 270, but I've only got about 150, 160 mil of travel in that cross slide on the lathe, so I can't do it in there. So I'm going to set the mill up, the drill press up, and use it like a mill again, and try and get that out of there. I'm hoping that I don't chew it to pieces, and I just need to skim it a bit off it, and then I can finish it with the sandpaper, I hope. We won't be using the drill chuck to hold that cutter with because it's got a 16mm shank and it's only a 1/2 inch chuck. But I bought this a long time ago when I was playing around with the idea of converting the drill press into a milling machine, and it's got a B16 taper in here. So I'm going to use that. I hope it doesn't come off because it's pretty heavy. So we'll have a crack at that. Now this is becoming a habit. We're out over 20 minutes again, so this will be the end of part 1. We'll come back and see how we go with this. If you've enjoyed this video, how about giving it a great big thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing, and that will be the end of it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.